Hi! In this video, I'll show you how I design and build an iOS widget in SwiftUI, focusing on how to design the UI for the very limited space that widgets give you. I'm working on a multi-platform app built with Swift data and CloudKit to track my habits, with a weekly focus instead of daily. Because of that focus, the main screen of the app shows a lot of information about habits under completion. But sometimes I don't want all that information. I just want to quickly answer, which habits haven't I completed yet today? That's a great use case for widgets. They are designed for quick glances where you don't need to open the app. The challenge is how to fit a potentially long list of items in that small space. By the end of this video, you'll understand how WidgetUI works, the quirks of SwiftUI in WidgetKit, and how to design layouts that stay clear and useful at a glance. If you're new here, I'm Felipe, an iOS and macOS developer based in Norway. To kick things off, let's look at how Apple designs its own widgets. So I look for some example. In here, I have like a screenshot that I took on my phone where I put some widgets made by Apple. The Reminders app, Weather, and Calendar. So one of my main concerns is like, is any of these widgets solving a similar problem to mine? How to design my widget? So to start, I took that screenshot and I started to recreate the design in Figma. Try to get a feeling on how Apple implements the widgets, which sizes do they use and details. So a lot happens, or a lot of things are revealed when you start like trying to recreate the widgets in Figma in this case. For my problem, I started to focus a bit like, okay, I want the list of things that I haven't completed yet, but I cannot fit the whole thing. So the same as the Reminders app uses, I will do a limited list. And in this case, I'm showing max 4 elements, the 4 next elements in my to-do list, but I'm also showing the total amount of pending tasks and also the total of tasks. So for example, in here, I just have 3 ones left. So I just show that. And this is when I haven't done anything yet for today, in case I completed all my habits. So just by these 2 numbers, we can see like, okay, if this is 0, this case, if it's not 0 but less than the total, which is that case, and then if it's the total. But then this other number gives the state of like, what if this 0? There's no habits created, so I create a state for that. And then basically it's just a list. But as I say, I don't need to put more like an indicator of, for example, in here, 8 plus habits, because I already have the numbers. So this is an indication, and this is just helps with the glanceability in terms of design. This is the initial design that I started with my widget. Let's see how to implement this. How to implement that design. I jumped to Xcode, and my first attempt looked like this, where I have like a widget and I'm passing pretty much all the habits that I have. And then of course the WidgetUI overflows. So I can do something like, for example, I can try with 7 habits instead. And in this case, this sort of like matches exactly with this UI. But there is another problem here. I have the different potential states for the widget. And then, for example, if I have 2 left, there's a bit of a jump in the layout between these 2 steps, which doesn't feel very polished. And also I could give some more space for these elements to breathe. So we want to solve the issue with the layout. Yeah. So for example, in this other version, I had just 6 elements, but I also like put that each row will fill the space. Now, these numbers and these labels don't jump, but you can see another problem. When there are too few elements, this layout looks not great. So we solve one problem, but we still have another. Let's try to understand how the widget layouts elements. I can start, for example, to simplify things and remove all the code and just have a simple color red. If you notice here, this is interesting because the color red doesn't go all the way to the borders. There's like a space. Now, if I use that color as a background of the UI that I have, you can see as well more clearly why the UI jumps. When I was trying to understand how the widget behaves, I created like a SwiftUI only version. So basically I use this widget widget shape, so I give some like fixed height and width depending from what I measure from widgets, and then I do these shapes in a way. So this allows me to see a bit like, okay, if I do many elements, this thing will overflow. So for example, I can add more. And normally in SwiftUI, you will see the elements out of the screen, but widgets clip on that border, as I showed before. So yeah, the first thing is to understand that, or try not to go out of this, the original red area that we have. This technique of using background colors, borders, and other like colors to understand layout is quite effective for SwiftUI in general, and is, as you can see here, is very useful to debug this UI. Then in my final implementation, I did what I had on the Designing Figma, and in this case, I had like a bunch of like debugging backgrounds. I made some own modifiers just to make things easy for me, so I can disable or comment this line, and then the UI should look normal. And here you can see there is no jumping between these two states, and also like the elements, the list when it's not full, it's also great. I do that with the prefix of habits, and if the widget is large, I will add more elements. Debugging in Xcode. So one thing that has happened to me a lot when working with widgets is that I use this menu to try to modify properties, and then it can be that suddenly Xcode just crashes. Let's see, just like that. So that's very frustrating. One thing I do to avoid that is to not use this menu, but rather the variants. So for example, testing light and dark mode, or like widget context, or like dynamic type, and so on. One thing you can observe here, for example, with dynamic type, is that the widget doesn't adapt fully to dynamic type. The same with the context, like tinted or clear. It's not perfect, the emojis disappear. Basically, this widget can use more polish. Also, I made a space like these check marks to tap on the elements individually and just mark them as completed without opening the app, but I made it as a to-do for now. Another thing that Apple widgets use is that they use conditional views depending if they fit in the space with the view that fits modifier. So that's another potential polish if I want to make a more complex design on the widget. Since this widget is only for my use right now, I didn't need any more work on it. But the same principles I discussed work to implement the rest of the support of the widget. Comment in the video down below if you want to see a new video where I actually implement that extra polish on the widget. And if you like this video, you can go even deeper with WidgetKit and learn how to implement live activities on your app next. And until the next one.